friends, what's up? My name is Joss and welcome back to Squibbles Reads. Today I'm going to go through all the books that I read in February as well as my March TBR. As usual, all the people that I mentioned in this video will be linked in the down bar below. To start off, I participated in Rainbowthon from February 7th to the 14th. The books that I finished were Finding Audrey by Sophie Kinsella, Red Rising by Pierce Brown, Black Iris by Leah Rader, Siege and Storm and Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo, Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty, and The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. If you want to hear me talk about these books, I will link my Rainbowthon wrap up down below. If you've been following me for a while, you will know that I am a very critical reader and most of my ratings are around 3.5 stars. I am hard pressed to give a book 5 stars. This month, I'm so happy to say that I read 3 5-star books and 1 4.5-star book. The first of the 5-star books that I read was And Again by Jessica Chiarella. This book follows Hannah, Connie, David, and Linda, 4 terminally ill patients who are given the chance to live the rest of their lives in genetically perfect bodies. It was marketed as a kind of sci-fi, but I found that it was extremely person-centered with only a hint of science, and it gave me 5 million existential things to think about. It talked about how chronic pain not only affects the person who's in pain, but also they feel like they have to carry the pain of their support network. One of the girls had tattoos, and after she was given her new body, all of her tattoos were gone. They asked her if she would get them again, and she said no, because every one of her tattoos came from a very significant point in her life, and to get them again would only make them superficial. There were a million more things that I annotated, but the prose was absolutely beautiful and lyrical, and it was easily the best 5-star book that I've read this year. I also read Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi with Kirsten from Kirsten Reads. I did not like this book. It's marketed as dystopian, but there are a few dystopian elements at best. A couple of new age gadgets and the use of guns and tanks as weapons. Juliet, our narrator and protagonist, also mentioned that Adam's eyes are blue. About 108 times. Furthermore, you'll know that I love lyrical, flowery, descriptive writing. This book did have a lot of that, except it was ludicrous, awkward, and strange. For example, these are quotes directly from the book. James and Adam glance back at me and I melt into pink Play-Doh. My stomach is a flimsy crepe. And my favorite, Warner thinks Adam is a cardboard cutout of vanilla regurgitations. Of course, my displeasure would be best described with a bunch of table flipping gifs, so I will leave a link to my Goodreads review full of gifs down below. I gave Shatter Me 1 star. I then read Nowhere Girl by Susan Strecker, which I happily gave 4 stars. Katie is our protagonist, and she is haunted by her twin sister's murder in high school, and now Katie is around 30. She herself is a writer of suspense and thrillers and uses it as a coping mechanism. She still thinks that the murder doesn't entirely add up and wants to get to the bottom of it herself. When I read thrillers, I love character development that makes you want to get to the bottom of these things. When they're too plot focused, I mean, there are only so many things that happen in thrillers, but different characters really pull me in. What struck me about this book was that Susan Strecker showed that she really researched forensic psychology, criminology, and psychiatry, and this made all the characters come to life as the plot unfolded. It comes out on March 1st, but I was provided with an e-arc by Thomas Dunn Books in exchange for an honest review. Another thriller that I read was Find Her by Lisa Gardner that came out on February 9th. Unfortunately, it did let me down because it focused so heavily on the plot that the characters were underdeveloped. It's about a girl named Flora who was kidnapped 7 years ago, held hostage for 472 days. She survived and is trying to live a normal life. She appears to be kind of a vigilante, getting herself involved in dangerous situations to try and defeat the bad guy. She eventually gets wrapped up in a case of another girl who was kidnapped a few years ago. Unfortunately, we didn't get to know any of the characters outside of the context of the crime or any of their inner workings, and this made the book very dry to read. Even though the plot was interesting, I was really disenchanted and it wasn't memorable, so I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. I was also provided with an e-arc by Dutton Books in exchange for an honest review. Then I read What We Saw by Erin Hartzler, which I did give 4.5 stars. A photo of a high school girl named Stacy, drunk and passed out at a party called Doonstown, circulates around her school, and one day a few of the guys that are stars on the basketball team at her school get arrested for her rape and sexual assault. It's told from the point of view of Kate, who is another girl at the party and used to be friends with Stacy back in the 7th grade. She's kind of also in the same social circle as the guys who were arrested. This book is so important. It takes place in a small town, and Stacy is chastised for ruining these boys' lives. Even Kate's female friends tell her things like, that's just the way guys are. You don't get wasted, you don't take off your top, and you don't flirt with raging drunks. We live in a society where we shame victims for what they wear and how they behave, instead of trying to convict the perpetrator of the crime, which is so damn sad. This book also touched on intersectionality because one of Kate's friends is Korean, and being one of the only people of color in a small town does have its ramifications. This book is not easy to read, but it is 100% important. I also read The Vegetarian by Han Kang and The Mystery of Hollow Places by Rebecca Podas, both of which I mentioned in my Hidden Gems books video, which I will link down below. I gave both of these books 4 stars. They were both phenomenal. I also read What She Knew by Jilly McMillan, which is another thriller. It's about an 8-year-old boy who goes missing, whose name is Ben, and the story is told in alternating points of view. One of them is Rachel, who is Ben's mom, and the other one is Jim Clemmo, who was the lead investigator. There are also transcripts from therapy sessions with Clemmo, and they include his counselor's thoughts about his mental state. It may be the best thriller that I've ever read. It had amazing character development, and I couldn't put it down. The last 10% I can't say much about, but it was absolutely gorgeous. On one hand, I rooted for all the characters, but on the other hand, I also had reason to suspect all of them. This is phenomenal, and I would recommend it to anyone who likes this genre. Finally, I read Paperweight by Meg Haston, the third 5-star book. It's about Stevie, who's admitted to an eating disorder rehab facility. She also feels guilty for the death of her brother Josh. So every individual, every reader has a different view of food and of body image. We can't avoid food. We need it to survive. So it's hard to see some of the things happening and some of the therapy techniques that are used in the book because our own views naturally color our reading. But the truth is, no matter what we think of certain foods, whether they be good or bad, eating disorders are so frickin' serious. Some of the reviewers on Goodreads say that they couldn't connect with her. Well, that was Stevie's intention. She is completely done with connecting with people, and she needs something that she can control. If you can stomach it, this book is incisive and poignant and a heartbreaking portrayal of eating disorders in adolescence. At the time that I'm filming this, it is not quite the end of February, so I am in the middle of a few books. The first of them is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I am about 40% of the way, and I'm not sure that I'm 100% convinced yet. At this time in Shadow and Bone, I had already fallen in love with the Darkling, but I haven't really had the chance to connect with a bunch of the characters, but there's still a long way to go, so I do have hope. I'm also about 75% of the way through a reread of Catching Fire, the second book in the Hunger Games trilogy, which I am reading with Vivian at Lamp Sunnies. Finally, I'm about 25% of the way through Hidden Bodies by Caroline Kepnes, which came out a couple of days ago, and it is the sequel to You, which I read last year and absolutely loved. Joe doesn't seem quite as creepy in this book, but he does have the rest of the book to impress me. So getting into the menu for March, I do have a bunch of buddy reads that I scheduled months and months ago, and they're finally here. I will be super busy again, so they are the only things that I will schedule. The first 2 books that I'm going to be reading are A Little Life by Hani Yanagihara with Sophia from Sophialism, and Uprooted by Naomi Novik with Jessica from Between Stories. I won't go over either of these because they've been going around BookTube a lot lately. I am also reading Am I Normal Yet by Holly Bourne with the lovely Kate from Girl Reading. It's about a girl named Evie and how she copes with her obsessive-compulsive disorder OCD diagnosis. I've also heard that it weaves in themes of feminism, so I'm super excited about this one. Then later in the month, I'm reading Some Girls Are by Courtney Summers with Elena. It is a book about Regina, who was shunned by her group of friends after some vicious rumors, and she eventually makes friends with a boy who she used to bully, but some more rumors threaten their friendship as well. Finally, I'm going to be picking a book from my BookTube Recommends TBR jar. So I'm going to be reading The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness, which was recommended to me by Mari at My Name is Marinas, and I will be requesting that at my library right away. That is it for this video. If you guys have any comments, questions, or anything else, please leave me a comment down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!